I'd like to call this meeting of the St. Clair County Board of Commissioners Human Services Committee to order. Roll call.
Commissioner McConnell, Commissioner Heidemann,
Here.
Commissioner Bohm,
Here.
Commissioner Dunn,
Here.
Commissioner Rushing,
Here.
Commissioner Graytop,
Here.
Commissioner Tamian.
Here. Please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Under additions, deletions, and changes to the agenda, we have the Catholic Charities of Southeast Michigan contract for final action. What's the pleasure of the board?
I would move that we add that as 7D to the agenda.
Support.
All those in favor?
Aye. I move we approve the agenda as amended.
Second. Support? Of course, we have that. All those in favor?
Aye.
This is the portion of our agenda devoted to citizen comments on human services matters. Are there any citizens in the audience tonight that wish to address the board on human services agenda items? Seeing none. Are there any updates? Conceptual initiatives from the administration? I see no old business. Does anyone else on the board have any old business this evening? Under new business, item 7A, the Visiting Nurses Association contract is here for final action.
Mr. Chairman, I'd move to approve item 7A, Visiting Nurses Association final contract.
Support. Is there any discussion?
Just a comment that I'm assuming that all of these are coming to us as recommendations from the St. Clair County Commission on Aging.
Yes, they have been approved by the Commission on Aging, and this is part of the reorganization of the Commission on Aging. We have a new executive director, Jenny Posey, who is handling the Commission on Aging. And so even though our Commission on Aging has been approving the appropriation of funds for these different organizations in the past, the county really hasn't had direct contracts with those organizations, and so this is really the first time that these types of contracts have appeared on our agenda. And I want to acknowledge Jenny and Carrie's work in this area. I think it's really helping to improve the management of our Commission on Aging.
Excellent, thank you.
So we have a motion and a support?
I would move.
I think
We
have
do?
it.
All right.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
We
Any-
need roll call.
This need roll call?
Money.
I'm sorry, we do need a recall.
Yeah, that,
recall.
the amount
A roll
of that
call.
is what, almost $500,000? 500?
Chris?
Roll call.
Okay. Commissioner Heidemann,
Yes.
Commissioner Bohm,
Yes.
Commissioner Dunn,
Yes.
Commissioner Rushing,
Yes.
Commissioner Graytop,
Yes.
Commissioner Tamian.
Yes. Next, we have a similar contract with the Council on Aging. This is also for final action.
I'll make a motion that we accept the Council on Aging contract for final action.
Support.
Any discussion?
Just a comment. It was really eye-opening to go through all of the services that they provide to the community for our senior citizens. Really impressive.
I have the pleasure of representing you on AAA 1B, which is the multi-county organization that delivers senior services. And I have an opportunity to see how other counties handle similar types of services for their citizens and especially their seniors. And I think we in St. Clair County are very fortunate to have our Commission on Aging and the support of the citizens of this millage. We have some of the best senior citizen services anywhere in our area.
Which counties are involved, Carl?
It's all the SEMCOG counties except Wayne County and the city of Detroit. So it's Monroe, Macomb, Livingston, Washtenaw, Oakland, those would be.
St. Clair.
And St. Clair.
Okay, thank you.
We have a motion?
And a
Any other
second.
discussion? All those in favor?
Roll call.
Contract.
I'm sorry. I've got one more chance to get it right.
Two more.
Two more.
Yeah, two more.
Commissioner Heidemann,
Yes.
Commissioner Bohm,
Yes.
Commissioner Dunn,
Yes.
Commissioner Rushing,
Affirmative.
Commissioner Greatop,
Yes.
Commissioner Tamian.
Yes. Now, we have the contract for Blue Water Safe Horizons for final action.
I'll make a motion that we accept it for final action.
Support.
Any discussion? We have a roll call, please?
Commissioner Heidemann,
Yes.
Commissioner Bohm,
Yes.
Commissioner Dunn,
Yes.
Commissioner Rushing,
Definitely.
Commissioner Greatop,
Yes.
Commissioner Tamian.
Yes. And finally, item D is the Catholic Charities of Southeastern Michigan contract for final action.
Make a motion, we approve the Catholic Charities of Southeastern Michigan contract for final action.
Support?
Any discussion? Now, I want to point out that at least I batted 500.
You're not done yet, buddy.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you,
If you're a
Coach.
pitcher in Major League Baseball, you'd be getting $20 million a year.
50-50 is the definition of mediocrity. You're good.
I'll take that criticism to heart, Commissioner. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Heidemann,
Yes.
Commissioner Bohm,
Yes.
Commissioner Dunn,
Yes.
Commissioner Rushing,
Yes.
Commissioner Greatop,
Yes.
Commissioner Tamian.
Yes. Are there any other items to come before the Human Services Committee? I see no information.
I move we receive and file packets pertaining to human services issues.
Second?
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Move for adjournment.
Support?
Yes. Support.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
We're going to call the Judiciary Public Safety Committee meeting to order. Roll call.
Commissioner McConnell, Commissioner Tamian,
Here.
Commissioner Heidemann,
Here.
Commissioner Dunn,
Here.
Commissioner Rushing,
Present.
Commissioner Greatop,
Yes.
Commissioner Bohm.
Here. No additions and deletions.
Move we approve the agenda as presented.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed. Citizens to be heard. We've got a couple of them here. Susan Atwater, 413 Botsford Port here, and invite to seminar, public safety.
Good evening. It's great to see everybody tonight. I'm only going to take up a couple of minutes of your time tonight. I'd like to let you know about a local nonprofit that is called Linda Paw. We are a nonprofit animal welfare organization that focuses on community education and outreach. I've handed you a little bit of information about our first and hopefully of many events yet to come. April 21st, starting at 10 a.m., we're hosting an animal behavior and you at the underground. There's going to be several raffles for the public, and if you eat at the Sperry's Diner restaurant upstairs, they are going to give you a discount for attending the seminar. We will have several speakers that will cover dog behavior, bite prevention, cat behavior, and trap neuter return. There are a couple of details still to work out, and they should be finalized here within the next couple of weeks. I'd like to personally invite each and every one of you, along with all of our county employees and the entire community, for a fun and informative seminar. Thank you.
Just for the public, the date is April 21st, 2018, from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m., correct? Okay. Shavana Hernandez, 4836 Westwood Drive, SCCS, NC.
Hello, everyone.
everyone. I have a question. You guys have a basic standard that the Board of Commissioners has over the animal control. I've read it. I'm not exactly sure the proper terminology for it, but it's just a basic standard of how the board feels it should be run that I've read. I'm wondering if there's a possible amendment that the board can do regarding that policy that governs the AC just in its basic form, that the Board of Commissioners can put a little bit more detail in as of record keeping, making sure the processes, the policies, things like that of how things are done there, because there's a big lack of a lot of that at AC, because what we've discussed before with the office manager, I mean, there's a long list of patterns showing. I mean, it starts with, all the way back. I mean, you can look at the Jeb case. You can look at Hope, the cat that was pulled with the busted leg, the cat with the broken tail, the officers going outside of warrants, the officers actually lying on the stand and nothing happening. So, and he actually said he did so, and he admitted he did so on the direction of their boss, or his boss, and he said Stephanie Ignish. So I'm wondering if there's something that can be amended from the board's umbrella overview in the process to hopefully try to stop some of these issues from happening in the future. So that was it. Thank you.
Okay. Moving on to updates. Any updates at this time?
Site contract.
Such initiatives.
Control.
On old business.
We don't have one?
Item 7A, the 2018 Marine Corps League Convention request.
Oh, I remember.
Chairman, make a motion, we send this on to the full board.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? No, any other judiciary public safety matters this time? None, information only. Receive and file.
So moved.
Did you want to talk?
Do I have a second? Receive and
Second.
file. All in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Adjournment. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Support.
All in favor?
Aye.
Could be a record tonight.
I'd like to call the St. Clair County Board of Environmental Public Works Committee meeting to order. Madam Clerk, would you take the roll?
Commissioner McConnell, Commissioner Tamian,
Here.
Commissioner Bowman,
Here.
Commissioner Dunn,
Here.
Commissioner Rushing,
Here.
Commissioner Greatop.
Here.
Commissioner Heidemann.
Here. Any citizens wishing to be heard regarding environmental public works matters?
Agenda first.
Pardon?
Agenda.
Oh, yeah, crossed it off. I would entertain a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
What I'd like to do, Howard, is I sent a note to everybody, and what I'd like to do is add, in addition to the agenda, at 7C for park and rec and capital improvements.
I'm sorry, for what?
For park and rec and capital improvements.
Park and Rec and capital improvements. I'll second that.
Who seconded?
Jeff.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. Motion carried. I'll entertain a motion to approve the agenda as amended.
So moved.
Support.
Been moved and supported. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion is carried. Any citizens wishing to be heard? Sheriff? Does the 3-minute rule apply to the sheriff?
Good evening. I'd just like to comment, reference animal control. I'm not aware of any employee of the sheriff's office lying on the stand. If that was the case and that was proven, they'd be disciplined and prosecuted. I recommend tomorrow you come into my office and lodge a formal complaint. I will investigate that because I'm not aware of anybody telling anybody to ever lie on the stand. We would take that very seriously. come to my office tomorrow. I'll be waiting for you. Thank you.
You had more than 3 minutes if you wanted it, Sheriff. Updates from commissioners regarding environmental and public works matters. None? Any conceptual initiatives from administration? Or I guess anyone can, do that. No old business, new business. The Park and Rec contract with Friends of St. Clair, the St. Clair River.
Mr. Chairman, I move that this contract be forwarded to the full board.
Support?
It's been moved and supported. Any discussion?
Just a little bit, if I could.
Yes, go ahead.
I went to a meeting on that, and it appears they're doing an excellent job, and it's expanded, and now it's going to exceed the amount that requires board approval, and I believe council has already reviewed it, and the contract has been approved.
Commissioner Graytown?
I was curious as to how we set the value of this. Wetlands at $9,500, Fort Gratiot County Park at $2,250. How do you arrive at those figures, Mark, to set this up?
The figures were estimated by the Friends based on the services we expressed interest in receiving for those properties.
And do you know how they come up with those figures?
They estimate the number of hours it's going to take them to provide the service and then multiply it out. If you'd like, I can ask them for their math.
Okay.
I was just curious how, it was interesting to see the difference in the numbers and, like $2,250 as opposed to $3,000 in some of them. I was just curious how they arrived at those. And if it's an hourly thing, calculate your hours, multiply it out. Yeah, I get that.
Yes.
Okay.
And there's a set hour rate. That's how they came up with that. It isn't an arbitrary figure pulled out of, it's a set figure already.
I have a feeling, and Mark, you might correct me if I'm wrong, that, this is they've had a lot of experience with the Wetlands County Park. As they gain experience with the other parks in dealing with invasive species, primarily of plants, I know what a problem that knotweed has been at the wetlands. And as they gain more experience, they may find these figures are a little low or maybe a little high.
Yeah. The Friends of the Friends of the St. Clair River started out contracting with Community Foundation to do work on the Riverwalk, and like the whole Riverwalk project, we've tried to be uniform with what the Community Foundation's done. Community Foundation said they were very happy with the services, so last year we contracted with them to do services for the wetland, and we're very, very happy with that. And then started talking to them about some of the needs that we have at other parks that we don't have staff with the expertise to address it, and invited them to give us a proposal to provide those services to Columbus and Fort Gratiot County Park.
Commissioner Graytop.
Mark, is part of this volunteer service going to be down at the River Rat Building, or is that not in the mix yet?
The Friends of the St. Clair River work out of the River Rats, what's referred to as the River Rats Club, but they would be expanding out to Columbus to try to develop a similar volunteer stewardship group out there for us, and in that case operate out of the lodge.
Okay, any other questions for Mark? Okay, thank you, Mark. Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carried. Okay, the Wetlands Broadwalk Contract Final Change Order.
Motion to send it on to the full board?
Support?
It's been moved and supported. Any discussion about that? We're coming in well within contract or within the budget?
Pretty close to the original contract amount. We just had a couple minor design changes when we got out in the field and consulted with the contractor and their staff on what we can make adjustments to make it better. And in the case of these two, it would strictly involved with the river overlook. They had some obstructions that required one pier to be moved and modified, and then based on their recommendation, reworked how the boardwalk was constructed, and turned out fabulous. I think everybody's really happy with the final product.
Well, if anyone in the community gets an opportunity, when weather permits, to go down and walk the river walk and go down to the wetlands area, walk out over that river walk, they will really be impressed. It is very nice. Okay.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes,
I believe I'd like to abstain on voting on this due to a conflict of interest.
okay.
I'll make a motion.
Allowing him?
Yep.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. You work for that company, right?
I do.
Did a good job.
Thank you.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carried. Okay, the next item on the agenda is the, Mr. Rushing's item.
Well, it's Park and Rec and Capital Improvements. I can start with the motion first to send it to the full board, or we can have a discussion.
Let's talk about it, so even, I guess,
Yeah, 'cause I don't know what you're sending to the
Okay.
board.
Well, what I have here is, and I'll read a brief thing here, I've sent it to all of you, and we can have discussion from there. It's been in excess of 5 years waiting for the business plans for the 5 main parks. There are currently 59 buildings that require maintenance and also costs associated with running each one. We have major funds being spent in the near future, and we haven't been given the information to expand our current parks. One example, without detailed usage of each location, are we expanding and spending tax revenues just because we currently have them? I would suggest that all capital projects be put on hold until business plans have been provided and actual uses at each park justifies expanding. Short version. I also add on that if we're going to have this money being spent at our county parks, how does it justify as the quality of life within the county for the residents of St. Clair County that we're going to use the expenditures? So,
I guess I got some
Commissioner
questions.
Bone?
Well, Mark, I guess questions. Where are we at in the whole business plan mix thing?
Business plans were written in 14 for all the parks except for Goodall's wasn't completed, and the wetlands was brand new. I've presented to the Finance Committee in their packet for Monday night's meeting is an updated Fort Gratiot County Park business plan, and expect to be submitting updated business plans for their review and comment prior to asking for Parks and Rec Commission action over the intervening months.
So you're saying for how many parks do we have again? 5, 6?
I'm sorry, I'm having trouble
How many parks
hearing.
again? I mean, when we're talking, so we're talking the Lighthouse, the Woodsong, the Goodall's. You're saying there's 2 of them that aren't complete, that you're in the process of finishing?
Right.
Are we able to get, I guess, at the next meeting, some updated information on that? Because I'm thinking you haven't seen them, Dave, is that what you're talking about? Or,
you haven't presented any business plans yet.
They were done in 2014 and presented to the Park Commission, if you'd like.
Okay,
So they
I
haven't
asked you
been-
here, I think it was 2 months ago, you said you're working on them, and I've been to your Park
Yes.
and Rec meetings too.
Yep.
But as far as the business plans coming to us to see what each park has, you've provided those to the full board?
When they were originally written back in 2014.
Have you received any of those, if I could ask?
I don't recall offhand. I would have
I
to go
have
back
not
and look
seen
at
a single one.
agendas.
That was back when,
I'll tell you what, we got a
it
super
was done
skinny,
it was presented to the Park Commission.
we got a super skinny agenda in 2 weeks. Can you get some of the information that was presented before? And bring that for us to take a peek at them,
Yep.
I guess, and we can.
Yep. And it'd be nice to even get feedback if there's holes in it that you think you want filled in, or I've already submitted that updated draft of the Fort Gratiot County Park Business Plan to David Struck asked for his comments and suggestions on, is it ordered right? Is there anything missing? Is there a format we should follow? So, in talking to Mr. Rushing over the last several months, I know you were interested, and we are for a time, we had lost all the digital files of all the business plans. We found those, and
So in 2000, if I could ask, in 2014, you have a date when you presented them to county administrator and the full board?
no, as I've told you, they were presented to the Parks and Recreation Commission.
Not to us.
Is that realistic? I mean, could you get something together in a couple weeks just as kind of an information?
We have our annual professional conference next week, and I think that might have an impact on how much we can get out to you on that.
First part of March or something then? Just get that information, take a look, or would that satisfy you, Dave?
Well,
You want to see them, right? You want to see
I
some of
want
the
to see
information.
them, and just the way I've had my experiences in life, I don't want to kick a can down the road, because in my opinion, it's been 5 years. You said they were in 2014. How come since 2014, here's 4 more years since then, and we still haven't seen them? Because the county, and I'm really concerned about this, and I've mentioned this to you many times, that I don't want to jeopardize our park millage and expanding that the monies we're spending at the county level, and it's over $2 million a year that we're spending for our county parks, that you get, it's approximately $3 million countywide, 25% goes back to each municipality, roughly 24% after the administration. But with that kind of money, I want to be able to justify the capital improvements that we're doing, meet the standards, and we haven't had a business plan to see if there's really a need that we're doing. And Park and Rec does a fantastic job. We have some of the best parks in the state, and we got great people working on them. But before we go and spend that kind of money and justify more park buildings and maintenance cost, and like take Scotus, do we have, this is kind of what I'm looking for, or any park, how many people actually attend them to justify expanding the parks for the usage of those parks? And that would be part of the business plan, but haven't seen that. And if we're going to continue, and I've never seen it once, what's that, Game of Thrones or something, where you keep expanding your empire? And it's great, we have great parks, but I don't want to keep expanding it and then have our millage potentially fail and then not have the revenues to
I
maintain.
think ultimately saying he's completed the majority of them, correct me if I'm wrong, there's a few, a little bit more in some of the others. And we just haven't seen that information. I do remember seeing an update on 1 or 2 of them through the course of time. You're saying you did present them to your Parks and Rec individuals.
yeah.
So I guess if you could get that information to us and we could sit down and just sit down and have a little powwow. If that doesn't work in 2 weeks, first part of March, I guess if that's information out there, you're looking to see. Does that make sense, guys? I'm just trying to get some kind of.
Yeah, that does to me. Did you have a, and I'm a little reluctant to encourage holding up any capital projects. And the reason for that is, and I might just remind our constituents out there, many of our park and rec facilities, especially the pavilions, if you want to rent a pavilion, you better get on it now, because they get booked up pretty fast. And so it isn't that our citizens don't recognize the value of our parks and use them. They're using them. So.
Well, I understand what you're saying, Howard, but without some figures to justify that, I could say the exact opposite, that our facilities are underused. We don't have that figures to let us know if they're being used or underused.
Okay.
So just to make that statement, I can make the opposite statement also.
Okay. Mark?
That discussion has gone on about getting data or counts based on discussions. We invested in counters for all of our gates. They came in January. We got mounting boxes. There'll be counters at the gates. Having physical counts of individual human beings, especially at Goodo's that has multiple entrances, is going to be a huge, if not impossible, challenge. But we have already invested in the technology, and we'll be installing those counters at the gates per
But take
our discussion at the December Park Commission meeting to try to.
Take our biggest park, Goodles, and the amount of finances that are being spent there to maintain it and run it, are we getting enough revenues back just to offset the cost? And I know we get $2 million to maintain the place, or in excess of $2 million to maintain all our parks. what kind of revenues are we getting back and what kind of usage? Reasonable question. That's our job as county commissioners. We're to oversee the funds for everybody. That's our statutory duty. So if we're going to be spending funds, I want to know where we're spending it and the revenues coming in for those facilities.
If I could suggest that tomorrow I'll email you the digital copy, the updated draft of the Fort Gratiot business plan. You can take a look at it, see what you like. If there's something you think there is missing, please let me know and we can start crafting them to the degree of completeness that you think is appropriate. So I don't, rather than kind of shooting in the dark of what you're interested in, let's see what you think of that updated plan and tell us if it's missing anything and we'll address those deficiencies.
Well, I know I've asked you many times, and now you said you had them in 2014. We should have given them, but they haven't given them to the full board yet.
Let's give them an opportunity to produce the material, perhaps
great.
in March. I don't necessarily know if this time just to say we're not spending more money, not doing anything. If they can't provide the information, another couple weeks isn't going to kill us, right? So if they can provide the material, give us an opportunity to review it and stuff, if it exists, and if we haven't had the information or looked at it.
I think there's also a philosophical approach here, view, and that is that, we do rent our pavilions at a very, very reasonable rate. And I'm sure that many of our taxpayers are thinking, hey, look, I'm paying county taxes, be careful with what you charge us. I don't have a problem raising the rates for people wanting to rent our pavilions and facilities from outside the county, but to jack up the rates for our citizens that are already paying a county tax, I have just so we can make more money.
That was never part of my consideration, but part of that consideration too is that we are a government entity. We have, what is that one in Marysville there? There's numerous ones. Banquet facilities. Are we taking business away from private people within the county? And is that our business, to take business away from the private entities also?
We can philosophically debate all the above till the cows come home.
And I agree with what Jeff said. Let's get some information
now,
back.
Get some information
Just for
in March.
clarification on the motion, if we vote yes, then,
Well, we haven't even,
There is
we
no
discussed
motion.
it.
There is no motion.
okay.
We're just
Okay.
discussion. We're going
Okay.
to wait till we get more information back from Mark,
Okay,
and then we'll proceed from there.
okay, sounds good.
Fair enough.
Sounds good.
Dies a natural death.
Okay, entertain a motion to receive and file the Smiths Creek landfill activities report.
So
We're
moved.
not attached.
We're not attached.
We're not attached, which brings us up to the, what was it, the editorial in the paper about landfill rates? The state apparently wants some of it too. Now, what, 5 years later?
I actually I'm glad you brought that up. So they're looking to take the per ton rate from 36 cents to $4.75. So the difference is $4.39, right? Is that right? My math here to count things, right? So when Jackie had called me from the Times Herald, the average household produces just over a ton of trash per year. So when people see that, what's this actually equate to? So so about a ton and a quarter. So it would roughly be somewhere in the $6 range that it would cost the additional homeowner per year. Because I saw a number that they had reported on in the newspaper that, to be quite honest, wasn't correct. So it's about 50 cents a month is what it breaks down to. So when you look at those numbers, and now for industry, your big producers, your industry, those types of things, but your municipalities that pay the freight. So if you went to like the city of Port Huron and you said that they had, $4.39, which they're probably somewhere in the neighborhood of tonnage. So Port Huron's got to be in the 10 to 12,000, range as far as the tonnage. So it would increase Port Huron's rubbish trash fee about $50,000
Yeah.
to the state. So trying to break that into, what's it cost average Joe, what's it cost the city if they pick up the tab, those kinds of things. So I'm not saying right there again, that's a proposal, as we well know. Lots of proposals come forward, lots of
Now,
proposals
did you
don't happen.
understand all of that revenue will go to the state?
For cleanup of a bunch of sites because their funds are, broke essentially. But I'm not saying I'm
Some of that money
jumping
was
up and
going to
down
Parks and
about it.
Recs, too.
Huh?
Some of that money was supposed to go to Parks and Recs.
It's always
item
supposed
they
to be.
listed in there.
Yeah, I mean, things always change. So I'm glad you brought that up, Howard, just to try to break it
Okay.
down into.
Any other environmental or public works items? Seeing none, information only. The
Motion
Park
to
and
receive
Rec-
and file Parks monthly financial documents.
Support.
Been moved and supported. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carried.
Motion to receive and file packets.
Support.
It's been moved and supported to receive the file packet. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion.
Support. Been supported. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned.
This time I'd like to call the Ways and Means Committee to order. Roll call, please.
Commissioner McConnell? Commissioner Tamian?
Here.
Commissioner Heidemann?
Here.
Commissioner Bone?
Here.
Commissioner Dunn?
Here.
Commissioner Greatop?
Here.
Commissioner Rushing?
Here. Okay. Number 2, additions, deletions, changes to the agenda.
Motion to accept the agenda as presented.
Support.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passed. Citizens wishing to be heard, do we have any? Seeing none, we'll move to updates. I guess it'd be a good part to put this, go ahead. Start off.
You can-
Go ahead first.
St. Clair Inn. If you haven't been to St. Clair, do yourself a favor, drive down there. They're absolutely tearing the place apart. I drove through town the other day on a Thursday. Looked over to my left, the old pool room and everything, probably 100 foot of the building was gone, from the old to the new, and just, it's amazing what they're doing. You'll see foundations going in the south end. I've actually got some of the drawings up here. Commissioner Greatop, myself took, Kevin from Gary Peters' office was in town today. We had a meeting, so we ran down there and stuff. They are moving full steam. I'd like to thank Dan Casey, Dave Strzok, a lot of the different counties. The county's been involved with Brownfield, Jeff Donaldson. When you have these projects of this magnitude, there's a ton of moving pieces to put these things together. I mean, a lot of different agencies, entities, so on and so forth. The owner was just in town last Thursday and Friday. We had spent a bunch of time with him, and no real big issues, and just, everybody working closely. He's got this thing on the right tracks, and talking about a $35 million investment in St. Clair. It's pretty awesome, man. It's game-changing stuff for the city down there, and that's home. So if you're not doing anything on a weekend, drive by the St. Clair Inn and take a look.
I have to commend the police departments down there. They caught the culprits that stole those tools. That was a real no.
Thank you. Well, I have a couple things. To show you how dedicated a commissioner I am, I'm here instead of being at home. Today is my 43rd wedding anniversary. I'm here instead of at home.
We should bring her in and give her a badge of honor, because being married to you for 34 years, 43 years.
For anybody who saw the Times Herald today, there was a retired train conductor, wants his lamp returned. He has the thing out by his yard there that he has an antique lamp that was put on there. Hopefully it's returned, or you guys catch the person. But back in the 80s, I might even work with this guy. I used to run the crane at Port Huron Yards in the 80s, and I required a conductor inside yard limits. So I don't know him personally, but name is William Edward Miskill, and he's 90 years old. And if he does not get his railroad lamp, I pulled some out of my archives that he can post on his. So I'm going to make it known to the Times Herald also. If his family wants one, to replace the one that was stolen, I will donate one to him.
Very cool, David. Very cool.
Very
Got a couple, this one's probably fit pretty good. These are antiques also, like me. So, that's all I have on that. Do we have any other updates? Any conceptual initiatives? Seeing no old business, we'll move on to new business 7A, updated fee schedule for the GIS services.
I'd move to move the updated fee schedule for the GIS service to the full board.
Support?
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passed. 7B, county clerk Manning table revision.
I move that it be sent to the full board.
Make a motion that we do this for final action.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, I will make a motion for final action. Thank you.
I will support that then.
Any discussion? Do we need a roll call on this? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion passed. At this time, do we have any other Ways and Means matters? Seeing none, information only. Can I have a motion to receive and file?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Support.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion passed. Can I have a motion to adjourn? So moved.
Support.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, we stand adjourned.